have time to craft and no ideas are coming my way, it can be super frustrating. But I find it's the perfect time to get my craft space back in order. And I'm not talking about organizing my craft supplies or cleaning up my entire area or anything like that. I'm talking about getting my tools and supplies in working order.
The first thing I definitely know what's going to be handy is to go grab myself a big Tupperware container and just fill it with some warm soapy water. The first thing I'm going to throw into that warm soapy water is the tops of my glue bottles. I have a really bad habit of just opening up a new glue bottle when one is clogged on me. And so I have about 5 of them open at the same time right now. And I'm pretty sure I can not only condense the bottles, so I only have a few, but I definitely know I can get these unclogged with some warm water. While I'm waiting for that glue to unclog, I'm going to go ahead and throw some of the things that I use on a daily basis in here. My spatula, tweezers, pokey tool, and palette knives, for example, that I use with paste, because there might still be some residue. And usually just some warm water with a little bit of soap will loosen all of that up and you can clean them with no problem. Once all of my tools are done, the glue should be loosened up by now. And I'm going to go ahead and just grab a sewing needle. Just be careful when you're doing this and just slowly get the glue out from under there, the little pieces that are stuck. I'm going to do this on each and every one of the tops. In the meantime, as well, you can start stacking your glue bottles one on top of the other if they'll balance on top of each other. If not, you'll have to do it manually and start transferring the glue from one glue bottle to the other if there is a need for reducing the amount of glue bottles that you have. I actually managed to reduce my glue bottles from 5 to 3. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a new fresh batch of water. This is obviously a lot soapier, and I'm going to put in all of the stencils that I was too lazy to clean. Ink generally, aside from maybe red ink, will sit on top of the stencil for ages before it starts soaking into the plastic. It's not meant to soak into the plastic. That's the magic of dye ink. So generally, if you leave them to last minute to clean or you leave them for a few days, it's not a big deal. And so I'm just slipping all of the stencils into the soapy water that need cleaning. I actually put my stencils up on my clothesline and let them dry that way. And when they're all done, then I can go ahead and start putting them back where they were supposed to go in my binder. And I swear every time I clean my stencils, hang them to dry, and put them in the binder afterwards, I always think to myself, you're going to keep up with this next time. You're going to clean your stencil straight away and put it back where it belongs. I never do, though. The one cleaner you need to clean your Misti stamping tools is the Novus 2 cleaner. It is really great for getting off all sorts of ink and anything like that. I couldn't find the bottle that I had, so I used antibacterial soap and I just wiped it down. That got most of it off, and then I used a combination of hand sanitizer and a few other cleaning tools to get them sparkly clean again, because let's just say these were a little bit on the dirty side. Now, I know this is all about cleaning and maintaining, and this might be kind of more in the direction of organizing, but what I tend to do is to just go ahead and grab all of my adhesives that are, scraps or similar sizes, and I just kind of combine them into one package so I don't have to have all of these extra things hanging around in all of these different packages. I usually just try to combine them into one little envelope. Now comes the fun part, and that is sharpening all of my colored pencils so they're all ready to go. It is important for your colored pencils to be super, super sharp if you're coloring and you're learning how to color and practicing your techniques. And so I like to have a full set all ready to go for when the mood strikes me to color something, because it doesn't happen very often. And when that mood strikes, I don't want to have to sit there and be sharpening all of my pencils. So I just use my electric pencil sharpener. This is a $10 cheapo, and it is honestly the best. It's battery operated. The battery lasts me like 2 years because I rarely use it. And it's just really good and consistent. This might be one of the most important things for you to do when it comes to your craft room, and that is maintaining your trimmer.
Just wanted to take a quick break to say that this video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Their mission is to make professional therapy accessible, affordable, convenient, and fast for anyone who struggles with life's experiences.
It's so easy to sign up. All it takes is just a few clicks and you'll get matched with a therapist that really works well for you. It's really important that you feel comfortable in your therapy session.
Being located overseas, I'm super grateful for a service like BetterHelp. And I like the fact that I can choose someone who specializes in the issues and life difficulties that I feel like I'm dealing with. Another feature I really love is the fact that I can just send a quick text message if I don't feel like chatting, or I can set up a phone call if I do feel like chatting. Having that flexibility of both and having someone accessible quickly and fast there that responds within 24 hours is really amazing. So I hope to be one of the over 1 million people that they've helped so far.
So your trimmer is going to get dirty, not only from the fibers that come off from paper when you're cutting it, but you also might have actually put on something that was wet, dirty, or whatever the case may be. So I just grabbed a bit of hand sanitizer first and a microfiber cloth, and I'm going to get scrubbing. You'll also notice I removed any pieces that may be removable just to make things a little bit easier. Next thing, I'm using an adhesive remover. So this is a specific remover that takes off any sort of glue residue. It smells a lot like oranges, so I'm kind of wondering if I could just use an orange. Give it a try. It might actually work rather than using chemicals, and that's going to get off any sort of adhesive. And I did the same thing to the trimmer plastic thing that holds the blades, and I'm also going to remove the blades and replace them. It's about time anyway. I don't usually just replace blades for fun. I usually just maintain and go along. If I notice that things aren't cutting well, I'll change the blade, but I feel like these ones were on their last leg anyway, so I did them both at the same time, both a scoring and a cutting blade. The cutting blade you're going to have to replace a lot more often than the scoring blade. The scoring blade lasts pretty much forever. So I'm going to replace this back on here, and the last thing when you are doing this, and for some reason I don't have it on camera, is to grab that sewing needle and run it along the cutting track. That's going to be really important to get out any fibers that may be causing issues with your paper trimmer. Next is maintenance of scissors. So because I actually cut things like double-sided adhesive or foam tape, and some foam tapes are better than others when it comes to leaving residue, and even though these are non-stick scissors, I still get gunk on them now and again. So what I do is I spray them with a little bit of adhesive remover, and then I just wipe them with a cloth. It takes it right off. And I do this maybe just once a year or so. I don't really need to do it very often because I do have a lot of scissors. So if one gets gunky, I just go to the next one. And I've also have a piece of tin foil off to the side there that I have folded multiple times. And I'm just going to cut with my scissors that tin foil, and that's just going to keep the scissors nice and sharp. Just cut over and over again, maybe 50 times or so, and then you should be good to go. They should be sharper than they were before if you have issues with your scissors being dull. I'm going to go in now with my ink pads, and this is more of an aesthetically pleasing thing and not a necessary thing. And I'm just grabbing a wet cloth here and just taking off all the ink that has kind of piled around the sides. This just makes them look prettier. It doesn't really have or enhance any of my crafting. But since I'm at it, I'm going to do this. But I am going to go ahead and refill them later. So you might want to refill them first before you actually wipe them down, just in case that gets a little bit messy. I don't find it gets messy for me, but that's just a little tip for you. Now, when it comes to foam pad inks, they need to be refilled often than felt pad inks, but I personally like foam pad inks a lot better, even though you do need the refill. Felt pad inks, you'll eventually need a refill too. They'll last quite a bit, but if you do ink blending and things, it's definitely good to have. So what I do is I just run a little sample onto a piece of paper when I'm doing bulk refilling, and then I just add a couple of drops onto my ink pad. I grab something like a ruler, a credit card, a gift card, something like that, and just spread it across here to spread out the ink. Now, as you can see, I store my refills in a photo box since I don't need them very often. They generally go to the back of a shelf or the very top. And I just wanted to mention that I do write the number of an ink. I've just numbered them from 1 to 75. And then I write the number on the bottom of the ink pad so it's easy to find the refill. I find when they're stored like this and you can't see the sides to read the name, it can take forever to find the ink pad that you're looking for. So that's a nice little tip. If you're looking for your ink pads and you have a hard time finding them, just put a number on the lid with a permanent marker and a number on the bottom of the ink pad. Now, regardless of the mediums that you use, sometimes you might have bottles where it's really just nearly empty or completely empty and need to be just sorted out. I always try and think that my paint, I'm going to get every last drop out of it, but usually when there's just a few drops left, it tends to dry up. And so I'm just checking all of my bottles here, making sure that they're full or that they're still usable, I guess you could say. Full doesn't matter, of course. And then this is also a nice, easy way to see what colors might I need to reorder, or which colors do I actually use the most that I need to replace? Which colors do I use the least so I know not to buy more of them? Now, I don't know about you, but when I walk into my craft room and everything is maintained and ready to go, I automatically feel like I'm in the mood for crafting. Organizing can be super tedious. Now, if you want to stop organizing and actually get in more into crafting, I recommend watching this video where I go over some tips on how to prep your craft room so that it is consistently ready to go.